afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's segment, the Equal Hope segment on CAN TV. We're here every fourth Tuesday of the month at 4:30. My name is Leilani Lacson, and I'm the Data and Communications Coordinator at Equal Hope, and joining me today is...
My name is Mariajose Marquez, and I'm the Community Outreach of Equal Hope.
And today we'll be talking about Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, and we'll be going through some slides. Right. Okay.
Equal Hope's history consists of being called to action. Research by Sinai Urban Health Institute detailed the shocking inequities of breast and cervical cancer in Chicago. From 2005 to 2007, Black women in Chicago died of breast cancer at 62% higher than white women, even though they were diagnosed less often. After this, we decided to host a call to action after establishing Metropolitan Breast Cancer Task Force. We became a 501c3 in 2008, and we held a breast call to action. This actually helped us figure out a way to help these Black and brown women in Chicago that were dying at a higher rate than other white women. After a decade of work, 62% of death gap has been lowered by 39, and the African American deaths are down 14%. As of last year, we became Ibccp lead agency, expanding to the Latinx community and Lake County. Our mission and vision, is to save women's lives by eliminating health disparities in Illinois. And our vision is a catalyst for saving women's lives by eliminating inequities in healthcare delivery for underserved and minority women, and by promoting health for all women. Equal Hope consists of 3 different programs: Equal Hope, Equal Care, and Equal Voice. Navigation and Education, Quality Consortium, Advocacy, and Policy all help the patient navigate through the medical system. These programs consist of free cervical health screenings, free breast health screenings, medical home placements, access to a regular doctor, quality navigation assistance, tools for prevention, detection, and screening awareness, and as well as assistance with diagnostic follow-up and breast and cervical cancer treatment. The Equal Hope consists of patient navigation and education. Usually during regular standard cancer treatment, a patient should receive a navigator. Unfortunately, very rarely do they receive one. At Equal Hope, navigators help the patient maintain control of their medical treatment. We also provide patient education. We provide patient education workshops for the community. It makes it easier for the patient to have knowledge about the medical terminology, procedures, awareness, and about the different disparities in cancers that affect the women's bodies. The Quality Consortium aspect of Equal Care focuses on ensuring that the care provided to the patient is of quality. It also focuses on the quality of mammograms, cervical exams, and other screening tests. And the Advocacy and Policy is to make sure that our efforts are not in vain. Equal Hope focuses on advocacy and politics, informing and influencing decision makers to support evidence-based policy change, including resource mobilization. Policy advocacy claims to inform and influence the government for the benefit of the patient. Go ahead.
So let's talk about the Illinois Breast and Cervical Cancer Program, Ibccp. What is this? Well, it's the Illinois Breast and Cervical Cancer Program, which offers free mammograms, breast exams, pelvic exams, and Pap tests to eligible women. Even if a woman has already been diagnosed with cancer, she may receive free treatment if she qualifies. The program has been providing breast and cervical cancer screenings to the women of Illinois since 1995. So does the Illinois Breast and Cervical Cancer Program offer any treatment options? Yes. Women who are enrolled in the program and diagnosed with cancer through the program's screening and tests are eligible to receive treatment benefits. And just so you know, Equal Hope is an Ibccp lead agency.
So what is cancer at this point? Cancer is what happens when a part of your body grows in an uncontrollable way and damages the other healthy parts of your body. But what is cervical cancer? Cervical cancer starts in the lining of the cervix. The lower part of the uterus or the womb is sometimes called the uterine cervix. The fetus grows in the body of the uterus, and the cervix connects to the body of the uterus through the birth canal. There's two different types of cervical cells. Those two cervical cells exist in the endocervix and the exocervix. The glandular cells exist in the endocervix and the squamous cells exist in the exocervix. Where these two cells meet is called the transformational zone. The cells in the transformation zone do not suddenly change into cancer. Instead, the normal cells of the cervix first gradually develop abnormal changes that are called precancerous. Doctors use several terms to describe these precancerous changes. When the precancers are checked in the lab, they are granted on a scale from 1 to 3 based on how much of the cervical tissue looks normal. Right there in this diagram, we can see the transformational zone of the cervix. But let's keep in mind, although cervical cancers start from cells with precancerous changes, only some of the women with precancer of the cervix will develop cancer. For most women, precancerous cells will go away with any treatment. But in some women, precancers can turn into invasive cancer. And that's why the best weapon to fight cervical cancer is early detection.
So cervical cancer in pregnancy. A small number of cervical cancers are found in pregnant women. 70% of cervical cancers are at stage 1. The treatment plan during pregnancy is determined by the tumor size, if nearby lymph nodes have cancer, how far along the pregnancy is, and the specific type of cervical cancer. Signs and symptoms of cervical cancer include abnormal vaginal bleeding, which is an unusual discharge from the vagina. The discharge may contain some blood and may occur between your periods or after menopause, pain during sex, and pain in the pelvic region. Signs and symptoms seen with more advanced disease can include swelling of the legs, problems urinating or having a bowel movement, blood in the urine. The American Cancer Society's estimates for 2022 cervical cancer in the U.S. are about 14,100 new cases of invasive cervical cancer will be diagnosed. About 4,280 women will die from cervical cancer.
This is in comparison to the 14,480 women new cases that happened in 2021 and 4,290 forms of cervical cancer.
The human papillomavirus and vaccine. So we'll talk about that next. HPV is the most common STI. There were about 43 million HPV infections in 2018, many among people in their late teens and early 20s. There are many different types of HPV. Some types can cause health problems, including genital warts and cancers. HPV can infect cells on the surface of the skin and those lining the genitals, anus, mouth, and throat, but not the blood or internal organs such as the heart or lungs.
Certain types of HPV may cause warts on or around the female and male genitalia organs and in the anal area. These are called low-risk types of HPV because they are seldom linked to cancer. HPV is common, and in most types, people can clear the infection by itself. Sometimes, however, the infection does not go away and sometimes becomes chronic. Chronic infection, especially when it's caused by certain high-risk HPV types, can eventually cause certain cancers. Cancers caused by HPV infections include cervix, vulva, vagina, penile, anus, mouth, and throat. You can get HPV by having vaginal and anal or oral sex with someone who has already had the virus. It is most commonly spread during vaginal or anal sex. It is also spread through close skin-to-skin touching during sex. A person with HPV can pass the infection to someone even when they have no signs or symptoms. If you are sexually active, you can get HPV. Even if you have had sex with only one person, you can also develop symptoms year after having sex with someone who has had the infection. This makes it hard to know when you first got it. Currently, there is no cure for an HPV infection.
So, the HPV vaccine in the U.S. targets 9 types of HPV. 2 of these types cause 90% of genital warts. The other 7 types cause 80% of cervical cancer. The HPV vaccine is routinely recommended for girls and boys ages 11 or 12, although it can be given as early as age 9. The CDC now recommends that all 11 and 12-year-olds receive 2 doses of HPV vaccine at least 6 months apart. Teens and young adults who begin the vaccine series later at ages 15 through 26 should continue to receive 3 doses of the vaccine. The CDC now recommends catch-up HPV vaccinations for all people through age 45 who aren't adequately vaccinated.
There are currently 3 different types of HPV vaccine available: the Gardasil, the Cervix, and the Gardasil 9. Who should not get the HPV vaccine? The American Cancer Society does not recommend the HPV vaccination for anyone older than 45 years old. People with a severe allergy to any ingredient in the HPV vaccine should not get the vaccine. Those ingredients can include latex and yeast. Who should get the vaccine? Anyone between the ages of 9 and 45. Vaccination of young adults will not prevent as many cancers as vaccination of children and teens. When you should get the vaccination. To work best, the 2 doses of HPV vaccines should be given between the ages of 9 and 12. It is a series of 3 vaccines. Teens and young adults aged 13 to 26 who have not been fully vaccinated should get the vaccine as soon as possible.
What are health disparities? Health disparities are preventable differences in the burden of disease, injury, violence, or in opportunities to achieve optimal health experience by socially disadvantaged racial, ethnic, and other population groups and communities. For example, people in low-income groups have more obesity than those in higher income groups. Health disparities can be affected by characteristics of a group such as sex, race or ethnicity, age, income, education, gender, sexual orientation, geographic location, disability, or special health care need. So there are cervical cancer health disparities. Nationally, cervical cancer is frequently found in women between the ages of 35 and 44, with the average age at diagnosis being 50. In the U.S., Hispanic women are most likely to get cervical cancer, but African American women are most likely to die from it.
Chicago's cervical cancer incidence and mortality rate is much higher than the U.S. national average. A woman living in Washington Park is 85 times more likely to die from cervical cancer compared to a woman living in Hyde Park. And a Black or Hispanic woman in Chicago is almost 3 times more likely to die of cervical cancer compared to a white woman. Reasons why this is happening. Reasons why minorities die more. This is due to lack of appropriate or timely follow-up of abnormal screenings, lack of cervical health education, lack of coordinated care between providers, not getting the right treatment, not getting treatment quickly, or getting diagnosed early.
So some risk factors for infection include HPV infection, chlamydia infection, being overweight, low economic status, low diet in fruits and vegetables, long-term use of oral contraceptives such as birth control pills, smoking, having 3 or more full-term pregnancies, having a weakened immune system, being younger than 17 at your first full-term pregnancy. So some key self-awareness messages. Know your risk factors and your body. Get an HPV vaccine if you're eligible for one. Get your cervical screenings every year starting at age 21. Maintain good health and establish care with a primary care provider. And don't be afraid, follow up.
If anyone needs to refer a patient to us, knows a friend, a cousin, someone who might need our services, please send them our information or give us a call. We'll gladly reach out to anyone who needs us.
And we also offer internship programs and volunteer opportunities. It's a great way to gain some experience if you're interested in women's health, interested in the field of public health, or interested in eventually getting into the field of medicine.
So, Leilani, we can see how these cervical cancer disparities can affect our community at such a great rate. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Black and brown women are more susceptible to breast and cervical cancer than a white woman. Equal Hope is here to help combat those health disparities and figure out a way to make our women live a lot longer and have a fair chance at a healthy life.
Equal Hope is a great organization that helps all women. We have some really great navigators who navigate patients who aren't familiar with the process of making appointments and follow-up appointments and openly communicating with their providers, and we have people who can guide you along the way.
If anyone would like any services or any educational days, we can come over to wherever you guys would like us to come over, and we do try to educate the community as much as we possibly can. These educational services are free. They are very much free to the public. We do hold monthly educational seminars, so if you guys are interested, you can visit our webpage at equalhope.org and register for these programs.
You can also contact us at 312-942-3368 for more information, or if you'd like to speak to somebody about the services we offer, and also about the types of education that we provide. And just to get to know the organization, just give us a call. We also have an email address, info@equalhope.org. You can contact us there. We also have social media. You can find us at equalhope_IL. We have a TikTok, Twitter, Instagram account. We also have a Facebook account. And we try to keep those platforms updated with information about breast cancer, cervical cancer. We are also offering COVID-19 vaccination. We're helping people schedule appointments. So if you haven't gotten vaccinated, you haven't gotten boosted yet, give us a call and we can help you schedule an appointment. We can also help you obtain the HPV vaccine. So give us a call then. And what else? We also have a TikTok competition that we'd like to talk about since we're on the air. MJ, do you want to tell everyone what it is?
Absolutely. So our TikTok competition is offering the winners of these challenges $1,000 for their whoever creates the best and most creative TikTok about COVID. And it could be a get ready with me video. You can go and you show us a video of you getting the COVID vaccine, or talk about 5 fast facts of the COVID vaccine. Anything COVID vaccine educational related. You can visit our TikTok at equalhope_.il, and you can enter the competition, or you can visit our webpage at equalhope.org under events, and you can see our TikTok register form. And yeah, that's what we're having. It's $1,000, Leilani. Isn't that crazy for a TikTok competition?
$1,000 in cash, too.
In cash. You do whatever you want with it.
Anything related to COVID. Entertain us, be creative. You can use trending sounds. What else is trending? Things that are trending, the trending topics on TikTok. We want to see what you have to show us about COVID-19. It can be funny, it can be serious. Put it together in a 15-second video and we'll look at it.
One last thing, I just want to remind everybody that the color for January Cervical Cancer Awareness Month is teal. Make sure you wear your teal ribbons and you display your teal colors everywhere as you can to support women who have had cervical cancer.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, and we also have upcoming webinar for cervical cancer.
Yes, I'll be having a webinar at 6 o'clock. You can also visit our equalhope.org site to visit and register, obtain the Zoom link for the presentation today. The presentation will be given today at 6 o'clock via Zoom.
And you'll be doing
And I'll be presenting.
Yes. For another dose of MJ, just watch the webinar later on today. We had, how many sessions was it already? 3 or 4 sessions?
Yes, we tend to have 4 sessions per month, 2 in English, 2 in Spanish.
Mm-hmm. And also some prizes too, like a $100 gift card.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 3 people for every webinar gets to win. 2 win a $50 gift card, Visa gift card, and one of them wins a self-care luxury box. So it's very nice. It has luxury items of self-care and beauty. I'm kind of jealous myself.
Yeah. Are they donated from local organizations?
These are self-care boxes that we have made ourselves.
Okay.
We've had donations from local organizations, from Yaz. We've had other different organizations donate coupons and actual items. TGen has donated a lot of items for the self-care luxury box. So yes, it's very much community-based, and it is a box that we have curated ourselves.
That's really great.
Yeah.
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 So, what other events do we have coming up at Equal Hope?
So we're gonna have our 11th annual Hope in Action on April, and this is gonna be geared to our entire Southside community. That's mostly where we center ourselves in. So we will be having that April 30th. This is one of our biggest events of the year. It is the biggest educational event that we have every year. It'll be April 30th from 12 to 4. The details of the location are still coming up.
Okay, I was going to ask what are some details and okay.
Yeah, we're working on location.
Okay. Any other upcoming events that?
Not as of right now, no.
Okay. I know that Advocacy Day, the first meeting for the Advocacy Planning Council at Equal Hope has been postponed, so we should have more information about that soon, but we're trying to gear up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any breast cancer things going on at Equal Hope?
As of no, we don't have a lot of events for in-person events due to the high COVID cases. We've been trying to push everything to either early March or February.
Okay. Well, if there are any other CBOs out there who are having events, just contact us and we'll be happy to show up and talk to the community about the services we provide and how we can help you maintain good gynecologic health, how to maintain great breast health, and to get vaccinated to protect yourself from illness, disease, and hospitalization.
Well, I'm glad that we're here today.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Leilani.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
So let's talk about breast health.
Yeah?
Have you done a webinar for
On breast health? I've done a couple of webinars on breast health, but I tend to focus more on cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is more geared to younger women. Unfortunately, every year we're having a lot younger and younger women get diagnosed with cervical cancer, which we completely think it's unfair. It's because it's due to the health disparities that we're trying to combat, due to the lack of access to care and the lack of access to, the lack of follow-up, the lack of knowledge, the lack of education in these communities. And, most of these communities, I was just looking at New City, which is a neighborhood in Illinois, in Chicago, and it's surrounded by 12 different factories, and the nearest free clinic is in the neighboring neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
So these are the reasons why Equal Hope comes into these kind of disadvantaged areas, because we see how, unfortunately, the healthcare system has failed some of these people, so we try to mend that gap.
Okay. So you do something called canvassing. What is canvassing?
Canvassing, canvassing, you think about it like a thread, like an actual canvas, and you have to thread yourself into the community, and that can be done, which we call boots on the ground. Boots on the ground means someone is actually walking around, actually putting up a flyer, talking to those people on the streets, but canvassing could be anywhere from volunteer work as well.
Okay. So talk about your experience in the community. So say that, there's a particular area that has high rates of cervical cancer, or like there's this group that lives there that we should be targeting. So what do you do when you canvass? Like, walk us through the experience.
I go to the office, grab estimate as many flyers as I need. I try to do canvassing a little bit more of a way that I know I'm not going to bother someone. Canvassing can sometimes be off-putting to people, especially out on the street, so I'll grab as many flyers as I can. I typically like to put them on posts, bus stations, places that I know that people congregate, and have a little bit of moment to read. And the minute that I'm doing that and I open up the tape and I crack it open, it goes someone starts to look and like, oh, what is she putting up? And then they start reading it, and that's usually how I start a conversation with someone. I let them come to me first. If they don't want to talk, I just hand them a little flyer, let them know these are the services that we do. And if anything, one thing that I like to do, especially in our Lake County area, is Lake County is not very walkable, and some of these times I want to target specific locations, like the Little Village Community Center. I want to go there, and what if I want to go to another community center, or what if I want to go to a housing authority? I'll target those areas specifically and make my way around areas that I know that people are just in need. Talk about your conversations that you have with people, like people who stop to talk to you. What has it been like speaking with the different communities? A lot of the people who actually stop and talk to me are fathers.
Oh, really?
Yes, a lot of fathers like to stop and talk. There's a lot of single fathers in Chicago, but almost everywhere, and a lot of them don't know about these services that their daughters need or that their wives need.
Interesting.
So I get stopped a lot by fathers, and they ask me about the services. And what's great about that is because I can not only help his daughter, but I can also let him know that we can help him because we do have a medical home program.
And just so you know, these services are free. So if you don't have a primary care provider, which is very important, you need a primary care provider to help you maintain your health and make sure that you are healthy, so that you can, have your annual checkup. You can see your primary care provider instead of going to the emergency room. We can link you to a primary care provider for free, and it's so important to have one. And
Absolutely.
It can save you a ton of money, less trips to the ER. And also, primary care providers can help you manage your chronic health conditions too, and identify problems before they become serious.
It's absolutely great that you say that it does help you financially, because going to the ER and emergency room bill without insurance can cost thousands of dollars. I think we all know this, yes. And unfortunately, it can start to build up, especially when you have a chronic issue. You have to go back and forth to the ER. And that can cause you to be completely in thousands of dollars of debt, therefore ruining your credit, ruining your future opportunities of an apartment, a vehicle, etc.
Yeah, and also you don't want to be in the ER during these times because of the pandemic. The wait times are so long, but also being around people who can potentially be sick can put your health at risk and the people that you see on a day-to-day basis or people that you even live with.
Yeah, especially in smaller, more rural part of the area. There's a lot of hospitals that are not taking anyone. They're taking everyone by appointment. So if you can just get your whatever services you need with your regular doctor, that will save you a lot of time and a lot of exposure to possible COVID.
Are you also talking to people about COVID at the events that you go to, or like while you canvass?
Absolutely. Equal Hope is one of those companies that has to adapt to everything that has happened our way. And when I talk about cervical health, I talk about the HPV vaccine. And unfortunately, the COVID vaccine issue has struggled a lot of people with how the HPV vaccine works. So I do try to talk to them and let them know, like, hey, listen, you probably already took the HPV vaccine. The HPV vaccine is a series of 3 vaccines for a reason. Which helps me explain to the patient why COVID must have boosters, why we need to have these different types of vaccines available to us, and why it's good for us to take these vaccines.
Yes. So we do offer help with getting the COVID-19 vaccine. We can help you schedule an appointment, find the closest vaccination site near you, help you get boosted. We also are helping people with getting the flu shot vaccine. It's not too late to get your flu vaccine. We're still in the months where the flu is spreading like wildfire up, and they suggest people ages 6 months and older get their flu shot, because the flu shot is good up until May, until spring. So that's important. People who are very vulnerable to getting the flu and getting really sick from the flu, like the elderly, people with immunocompromised immune system, and children are people who can get really sick from the flu. So if you're not vaccinated or know people who are not vaccinated, please tell them to contact us and we can set them up with a flu shot appointment.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's really nice because especially all these clinics are just getting flooded with appointments. It's really hard to find a booster appointment, for immediate reasons, because people are just flooding all of these places. So it's really important to make sure that you can get your flu vaccine as well as your COVID vaccine. And just like Leilani said, we can assist you with that.
It's very important to get the COVID-19 vaccine, and especially boosted, because Omicron is not going anywhere, COVID-19 is not going anywhere, and booster shots are important because they remind your body to protect you against COVID-19. And yeah, it is possible to get the flu, it is possible to get COVID-19 breakthrough cases, but your chances of getting really sick and being hospitalized because of these illnesses are pretty slim.
I don't know about you, but I'd rather be a little sick than really sick.
Yeah.
That's why these vaccines work, and that's why we talk about the HPV vaccine as well. It's not just the COVID vaccine that helps. HPV and flu vaccine can also help you tremendously. You can see it with the HPV vaccine, how it can help you from actually getting cancer, which is something that's completely, we all know it's incredibly hard, and it's very hard to beat. So we try to make sure that we push all these vaccines and educational services to all of our patients. Even if you don't want to be one of our patients, you can just come to one of our webinars, win a free gift card. but also educate yourself a little on these cancers and on how to prevent them, because cervical cancer is actually 93% preventable, which is crazy because we walk around our lives, especially I think that at one point or another, you know, about half to a third of the people that you do know will have cancer. But if you can prevent cancer, why not prevent it? You know,
with just 3 easy shots that take 2 seconds to administer.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So, what have you come across when you're going back to canvassing? What have you come across when people tell you, "Oh, I don't want to get vaccinated," or "I don't think those vaccines work"?
I mean, to a certain extent, I understand them. The American system, especially American healthcare system, has failed a lot of the Black and brown community, and I usually hear that sentiment from the Black and brown community. So I have to validate how they feel about it, but also at the same time, I have to let them know to what's familiar to them. So I will relate it to another vaccine that they've probably had. Have you had your measles, mumps, and rubella? As an immigrant for this country, I had to get my measles, mumps, and rubella before going anywhere in this country. So if I can relate them to that and let them know, hey, do you remember the vaccines? And if anyone in the Hispanic community understands, when we first come into the country and our vaccines in our country give us a scar on our shoulders. Yes. So usually I can tell if they've had a vaccine before, and I'm like, hey, you know, I'll point it out. I'm like, you've had this vaccine before, and for that reason you didn't develop polio. For that reason you didn't develop any other disability. So I try to connect it with them and level with them and be like, listen, I understand, but this is something that you have already done in the past, and you will probably continue to do in the future. So if I can relate it down to something, connected to a memory that they have already had about getting a vaccine, they'll think, oh, it's not that bad. But to a certain extent, you do have to validate the reasons why they don't, and kind of reason to them. It's kind of a daily kind of basis kind of situation, and every single person is incredibly different for their reasons of not getting the COVID vaccine. So yeah, I understand, but also at the same time, I relate it to something that they've already done, so they remember that they've been in this position before and they got through it.
Yeah, so that's what I do with my social media messages. I like to remind people when I talk about the booster shots in my captions or within the visual graphic that they should think about when they were younger. Like in my experience, I was required to get vaccinated. I went to a private school in the city, and I had to get a list of these vaccinations before I was let into school, in high school and even college. So I try to remind people that, remember, you know, when you were younger, you had to get these vaccines or else they wouldn't let you go to school. It's kind of like the same thing with the COVID vaccine, except obviously they're not mandating it, but getting a series of vaccines is needed for added protection, just to remind your body, like, hey, you need to protect, you know, the body from XYZ. So.
It's very important for people to really know what the mRNA vaccine actually does. People have a misconception that it changes your DNA, and it in fact does not. Just like Leilani said, it's kind of like taking the virus and putting a hat on it, and when it goes into the body, the hat gets removed, and the body remembers that this virus needs to be attacked, so that next time the virus comes with the hat, let's say, it comes into the body, and the body recognizes it. It's like, oh, before this virus gets really bad, I remember this dude with the hat. Let me attack this dude with the hat so that it doesn't spread throughout my body. So the good thing is also that the mRNA vaccine mimics the effects of COVID on your body. That's why a lot of us do feel tired, exhausted, headaches, and have different kinds of symptoms with the booster. But more likely than not, the following day, you're good to go. So it's really just a small feeling of what it would feel like if you actually had the virus, and that lets your body know and determine how to process it better, and it lets you know how to process it better. Did you know my following day after my booster, I was fine?
Oh, good.
I was fine, yeah, it was great, but it was good to know that if I, didn't in fact get COVID, I would have been asymptomatic. So that lets me know and address myself better in the future of how to behave if I've been exposed to COVID.
Yeah, so the side effects that you experience, like some people experience side effects the next day. Like I did with the first and second shots, I just felt really tired. I had a sore arm. The booster, I think I just had a bad headache, but they were very mild than what can happen if you did get sick with COVID and you were unvaccinated. I think we all know people, in 2022, people near to us, dear to us, who have been affected by COVID. Like
personally.
It's just becoming a normal thing, like the cold, I think. So the side effects that you experience, from the COVID vaccines and the booster shot, they're just your body's way of telling you that they're building immunity, that your body's getting stronger, and remembering to protect the body from COVID-19 and any variants that come along the way.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the pandemic, we all had heard distantly of someone who had been affected by COVID, but as time progresses, you're like, you kind of feel bad for those people, but as time progresses, you realize that you become one of those people, you know, so it's very important to keep in mind that, you know, you see these billboards, especially in the city of Chicago, that, you know, COVID does not discriminate. Doesn't matter your race, sex, it doesn't matter. And that is incredibly true. The inner lining of our cells do not care. And they are just looking for a place to be hospitable and live. And unfortunately, that's our bodies.
Yeah. What other COVID-19 or vaccine myths have you heard?
This is not so much of a myth as I think it's a problematic thought that I would like to debunk. They say that a lot of the reason why they don't want to get vaccinated is because it was developed way too quickly. And I want to touch up on a key point here that money can help us do incredible things. And COVID-19 came into our lives at a moment, unfortunately, where we were transitioning in power with the president and people were, you know, starting their jobs, and it just kind of halted all of our lives. So there's a lot of people that say it was developed way too quickly, but the money and resources were extremely prioritized to help this vaccine be developed and be tested because it was a national, it was a world emergency. So therefore, a lot of the people that have said that the vaccine was developed too quickly, it wasn't developed too quickly. It was accurately tested. If you drink Pepto-Bismol, it is the same. They work the same exact structures to test Pepto-Bismol as they have for the COVID-19 vaccine.
I didn't know that.
So COVID-19 vaccine is almost just as safe as taking Pepto-Bismol or Advil or Tylenol. So keep in mind that the reason why this vaccine was introduced so quickly into the public is because we had the funds and the people and the time to do it. A lot of us did great things during during quarantine. I think the country with a lot of money can do amazing things, and that was the COVID-19 vaccine.
And also, the vaccines weren't developed quickly because we had the science behind the vaccines around for decades. So the science that was used for vaccines created in the past was used to create the COVID-19 vaccines. So the COVID-19 vaccines aren't a new thing scientifically, and we had the money and resources and time and all the energy and effort to create the vaccines at a timely pace.
I think another reason why the COVID-19 vaccine has been rejected by many is because it happened, like I said, during the time of transitional power. But it's very important to know that a virus has no ties to any political party at all. A virus is a virus, and its only purpose is to survive. So it is very important to know that there's no political ties behind the COVID-19 vaccine. It's really just a medical emergency.
Another thing that I've read on the internet is the vaccine can affect fertility, which is not true. People who are trying to get pregnant, people who are currently pregnant, and people who just gave birth are all encouraged to get vaccinated.
Pregnant women as well.
Yep. And also I read that the antibodies or the proteins produced by the body from the vaccine can be passed to the unborn baby through the umbilical cord.
Which is great. That means the baby doesn't have to receive the vaccine. So that's a great thing to keep in mind for our mothers that are expecting. Not only are you protecting yourself, but you're protecting your future child.
Another vaccine misconception I heard was vaccines can make you magnetic.
Oh, that's the best one I've heard. And I've seen it on TikTok quite often, and people will go ahead and, just put it on themselves, but what you fail to remember scientifically is the friction that the body causes against items. So of course it's going to stick to you because it's metal against the friction and the energy, the electricity that's connected to our bodies. So that's why it was happening. When I first saw it, I was like, there's no way that people believe this,
But there are people who do.
Yes, exactly. So, it's very important to keep yourself informed on facts that you know. It's very important to keep your get your facts from credible sources. Make sure that you're reading from credible sites, you're reading from actual .orgs, .nets, .edus, because it's very important to make sure that you have the accurate information for COVID-19 and the protocols.
Yeah, and I think that magnetic misinformation point, I think it originated off of social media. I think it was social media, that one, and also that the vaccine can alter your DNA. That's another one, I think.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and that's why we're trying to push the educational aspect of our COVID-19 onto TikTok, because misinformation can spread like wildfire on social media, but we're trying to see if we can spread good information on social media. So that's why we encourage everyone ages 14 to 24 to look at our TikToks. Make sure you'll probably see me and Leilani on the TikToks. Yeah. And to go ahead and make your video. You can, there's no limited amount of entries. You can just make your video. You can see the criteria. Just make sure that you register your name so that if you do in fact win, we can contact you and give you your money. Yeah.
Your $1,000 in cash.
$1,000 in cash. It's really exciting, and I'm really excited to know that a lot of younger people are interested in advocacy, in pushing forward and figuring out how to fix our health disparities. I think 2020 has taught us a lot to take a moment, slow down, and reevaluate our values. So I think, the easiest resolution that you can make, that you can keep this year, is getting your COVID-19 vaccine and getting your cervical cancer screening.
And also your mammogram, because remember, cancer does not pause during a pandemic. The rates of mammograms since the pandemic started have decreased greatly, so it's very important to continue to see your doctor and continue to get your regular screenings. Make it to your regular appointments, because you need to maintain your health even though there's a pandemic. You only have one body, one life, and you need to take care of yourself. And Equal Hope can help you with that. Give us a call at 312-942-3368 or email us at info@equalhope.org. You can also find us on social media, equalhope_IL, and also the information that we post on social media to educate people about cervical cancer, having a primary care doctor, the flu shot, the COVID-19, and the vaccines. They're all taken from reputable government sources and different institutions that have been verified.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to verify your information. And like Leilani said, we provide free cervical cancer, free breast cervical cancer screenings. It is very important to take advantage. If you just want to get those services with us and see you next year, that's great. That's great. We feel very comfortable knowing that you are at least getting your services that you need, and you have equal care to them and equal access to these services.
And we also have a team of bilingual navigators too, so if you are Spanish speaking or know someone who's not insured and is Spanish speaking and looking for free health services, give us a call. We have Spanish speaking navigators who can guide them or you through it all.
Yeah, that's really great. It's really great to make sure that everyone who's working with you, especially the navigator part is my favorite part. Even though I'm in outreach, the navigator part is my favorite, because it gives these women peace of mind to know that someone's fighting for them on the other side. Especially those women who come to this country and they don't speak the language. It's very hard to think about getting these services done and navigating the American healthcare system compared to the one that we have in our countries. And the advocacy part, the navigators help you navigate that program, help make sure that you're not being treated disrespectfully, and making sure that your voice is being heard.
That's so true. So we have a retired nurse on our team, and she helps navigate patients. She does a lot of follow-up calls. She's really great, and she's able to understand all the medical jargon and terminology. She's able to read reports and help women, and she's really great at consoling women who call in and are scared and, are told that something abnormal came up. And we have, really great bilingual navigators. We have a really great team of people who are willing to help women who are uninsured, not sure how to navigate their way through the medical system, especially, if they feel a lump or if they see some bleeding. We have people there to help comfort you and also guide you through the system. Walk you through it. Absolutely. Yeah, so we offer some really great services that people should take advantage of. We even, have one patient who was a male and he had breast cancer. Yeah. And breast cancer does affect men, even though it's really rare it does happen, and we do accept applications from men as well. It's not all just women.
Yeah, we adapt where we're needed. We go wherever we're needed. We address every single part of, Chicago. We're trying to make sure that all of our women are safe. Unfortunately, like you guys saw in the PowerPoint, the mortality rate in Chicago and incidence rate is higher than the national average, which is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Chicago is such a great, strong, tight-knit city. How is it possible that our women are falling through the cracks, So Equal Hope is here to pick those women up out of the cracks and make sure that we seal them.
Because our goal is to eliminate health disparities.
Yes, ma'am.
And lower the numbers in Chicago, make us known for something else. Helping women, helping men too. And
Absolutely.
the communities that we serve.
Yeah.
So what communities do you typically target?
Since I'm the bilingual outreach, I try to do the southwest sides, and especially, like I said, New City, which is right between Englewood and back of the yard, so right smack in the middle, that's New City. A lot of people don't know about that, but if you just drive by there's a lot of delis, and unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of other restaurants have shut down. So there's huge scarcity in food, there's a huge scarcity in clinics, access to clinics, bus stations, bus stops, etc., etc. So we try to target those specific communities that are, well, for me, bilingual, and that I know statistically are underserved, and that have the highest, cases of breast and cervical cancer. So there could be McKinley, it could be New City, Englewood, West Englewood, Washington Park. Washington Park is one of those that is it breaks my heart because, as we saw in the PowerPoint, a woman that lives in Hyde Park versus Washington Park is 3 times more likely. A woman that lives in Washington Park versus Hyde Park is 3 times more likely to die of breast or cervical cancer than someone who lives in Hyde Park. And someone who works in these neighborhoods and knows these neighborhoods geographically, they're only a mile apart.
Are they?
They're only a mile apart. You can just go straight from one place to another, not even have to turn any streets. And this is due to the socioeconomical differences that are, and how much resources are pumped into these 2 different areas of Chicago. So we try to go ahead and serve those areas that are underserved, like Washington Park, regardless of how beautiful and if you've been to Washington Park, you see the history and how rich it is, but the people who actually live there are unfortunately dying at a huge, faster rate than their counterparts.
Well, that's why Equal Hope is here, to help eliminate that and decrease numbers of women who are getting sick and people who are being affected by the scarcity of clinics and of grocery stores and just places that, are convenient. Equal Hope hopes to eliminate those health disparities.
Yeah, because everybody deserves a free chance to optimum health, regardless of where you come from, what language you speak, what you look like, what your race is, how much money you make.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a factor into your health. Yeah.
And Equal Hope helps with that.
Absolutely.
Again, give us a call if you're interested in learning about the resources that we offer, if you're interested in speaking with a patient navigator just to understand what the navigation process is like. If you need to speak with a Spanish-speaking navigator, we have that too. All our navigators are great. I've heard them on the phone, and they're really great with the clients who call in. They work with you. They really work with you, and they fight for you. They will stay on the phone.
They will go to your visits with you.
They will go to your visits. Yeah, they'll stay on the phone with you. They'll stay on the phone with the provider and get an answer. They'll go with you to the visits. They'll even wait with you. They'll follow up with you. If things are getting better, we do follow up. We do check on people after helping you out. So that's a really great thing about Equal Hope. So 312-942-3368. We have a really great website, www.equalhope.org. On our website, you can fill out an intake form or a form if you want more information about the services you're eligible for and the services that we provide. We also have an email address, info@equalhope.org. Shoot us an email there. We can answer any questions. We reply to emails. Follow us on social media, equalhope_IL. We have TikTok. Check out our videos. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel too, where I think we have some old Can TV episodes on there.
Yeah, it is very important to know that I state that everyone who works for Equal Hope wants to be at Equal Hope. And it's very important to know that because we have all had an experience at a clinic where we don't feel welcome, and we can tell that the workers there are stressed out. And although we all have a great amount of work to do, we want to be here and we want to help everyone. And we're a non-profit, so we're not looking for money. We're not profiting off of anything.
No commission either. No commission.
We're just profiting on the fact that we know that we're helping these women achieve optimum health equally. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are there for the community. We are there for women and men to provide services, make sure that you're vaccinated, make sure you get your cervix screened, make sure you're getting your mammogram, making sure that you're all good, making sure that you're healthy, that you have a regular care doctor you can go to get your annual checkup, or even if you hurt yourself or you're not feeling well, we can help you find a doctor who will be there for you to maintain optimal health.
We care about you as a whole, so if you have other issues that don't have to do with healthcare and you need help with resources, we can help you. So we understand that you're not just, your breast and cervical health, but you are a whole person that comes with your own obstacles, own issues, own fears, and other different qualms that you might have. So we try to take those things into consideration and treat you like a person, not treat you like an insurance company.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And also wanted to plug in there that our equalhope.org website is going to be updated soon. We're going to be launching a website with new things on it, new visuals on it. It'll be a little bit more user-friendly, so check out the website, learn more about us, learn more about our team, learn more about the services we offer, learn about the history, reports, research that we've done, fill out some forms if you want to. You're looking for some free services. If you want to be part of our advocacy team, it's all there on the Equal Hope website, 312-942-3368. And thank you for joining us today. I'm Leilani Lacson.
I'm Mariajose Marquez.
And we will see you next month. We have our show every fourth Tuesday of the month. Thank you for joining us today.